All right, what's up, Trust Engine and Mortgage Coach community? I am super pumped on this interview. While I have been on Zoom doing leadership with Robin Clayton before, Robin, this is the first time you've been just the star of the show on the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Is that right?
It is. This is a bucket list item. I'm a huge fan. I love watching these videos. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be here today.
Yeah, well, I said it on your LinkedIn post today, but I truly love collaborating and innovating with you. You push us hard. Like you are a great client because you're detailed, you're innovative, you're always pushing for excellence, and you're really smart about where the future is going in the industry. So it's great to have you.
For sure.
So for anyone, well, because it's the first time I've interviewed you, there's a lot of folks on the call that don't know who you are, they don't know what you do. Just give us a real high level, high level what you do for mortgage executives, and there will be loan officers watching it. Although we're going to promote this mainly to mortgage leaders, mortgage executives. So share your role.
Sure. So I'm the director of performance marketing at PRMG. And I basically oversee marketing technology and make sure that it is driving ROI. And I do a lot of coaching for sales professionals to inspire them, motivate them, not just how to use the tech, but also how to get in the right mindset to do more business. So the revenue is kind of the bottom line. ROI is something that we're really passionate about. But I've been at PRMG for almost 4 years. Absolutely love it here. Get to experiment a lot and work with really cool companies like Trust Engine. We're a huge fan. There's a lot of data that shows it's some of our highest ROI technology that's out there. As you know, we've done some case studies on it. So yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. And how long has your title been director of performance marketing? And what was it before?
So I started at other mortgage companies I've been at. I've just been sort of a one-man band, head of marketing. When I came over here, I was a senior digital strategist. And then pretty quickly, I became a director just because of my focus on data-driven ROI and understanding our technology. Then I was the director of digital lending and marketing. And then for about a year later, we realized that name was not really accurate, that it was a lot more than that, and that we needed to look at the execution side of it. It's not just the technology and how do all these things plug into each other, but it's also coming up with a strategy. Does the content work out, the training and adoption? And I did a lot of research in the industry and found this name, performance marketing, which was just this focus on data-driven excellence and execution. And all of the research that I found on it was exactly what I'm doing. So that we officially changed the name of the department, as well as my job title. Our email is performance. And so everything's focused around that. So we're really passionate about it.
Yeah, well as we are, and that's kind of takeaway number one for anyone watching this, whether you're a loan officer, whether you're a lender, whether you're a head of production. I I think status quo in the mortgage industry has been that the marketing department is creating things that look pretty. There's a lot of subjectivity into what looks good. Every head of marketing has an opinion. Every loan officer has opinion. Every regional, I mean, everybody has an opinion, but then there's like, hey, what's the performance? And I also feel like, and tell me if you agree with this, that a lot of marketing departments don't have as much influence with the street as they'd like to. And because they're creating things that look pretty, but there's not like, hey, this is something that's driving a competitive differentiator. This is something that's driving conversion. And I know you work really hard to not just create things that look good, but create things that drive performance.
So this is a true story. I was guilty of that. I was the person who created the pretty flyer and ran into the CEO's office and was like, "Isn't this great? Doesn't this look sharp?" And they were like, "Get out of here! I'm on the phone. Why are you bothering me?" And I actually took a course. I do a lot of professional development and continuing education at UC Irvine. And it was led by a gal who was a marketing executive at a mortgage company, and she had a similar story to mine. And she realized that until she learned the language of revenue, no one would take her seriously. So during the course, we were tasked with meeting with our CFO, how to read a P&L. I worked for a publicly traded company at the time, so it was easy to get a hold of a lot of financial documents. And there was a lot of academic rigor in how do you tie that pretty flyer that you did, or that system that you bought, or that t-shirt you designed. How do you actually prove that it is driving revenue, or maybe it's not? And the importance of retaining clients versus the cost of acquiring new ones, all of this rigor, lots of math, lots of statistics, lots of analysis, and it changed my life. And I followed the homework, and I met with our CFO, and I realized that if I couldn't prove what we were doing was actually generating loans, then I was just wasting everybody's time. So that became my singular focus, is only focus on the things that move the needle forward. And to be fair, some things take a long time. Some things are immediately, you plug it in, you see loans rolling in. Some things are maybe a couple of years out, and you need leadership that can be patient with that. But that kind of changed my philosophy, because I was the, isn't this a pretty picture? Take me seriously. But when you start talking about, hey, I'm going to increase your loan volume, I'm going to increase your revenue per loan, you start to get into meetings that were closed to you before as a marketing person. You get taken more seriously, you get more opportunities. If you're willing to do the math and be disciplined and tell on yourself, hey, I spent money, I made a mistake, this did not work. If you're honest, I think people really respect that.
Well, you sound like, you act like, and you are a data-driven marketing leader. So, and tell me your thoughts on this. So, we are now, we're doing this interview. It's middle of May 2024, and there have been 7 straight quarters of lack of profitability, based off the MBA. I also just wrote an article, which, thank you for giving it a like and actually sharing it, but calling out the fact that, literally since the rocket went off, I always kind of say, like, when the rocket went off, click, get mortgage. It was in 2016. Marketing budgets, technology budgets have gone up and up and up. But when you look at loan officer productivity, it's down. I mean, it was at 5 loans per month per loan officer in 2016, and we've more than 3x'd the technology spend, and it's down. So I feel like status quo is not the way forward. What are your thoughts on that narrative?
So it's concerning, right? If you're spending more money and getting less loan volume, no one's really happy about that. But the data that I'm seeing is actually showing the loan officers who are bought in. They follow the strategy that we've outlined. They use the technology. They're committing to their education. They're challenging themselves to do better. They're doing really well. Where we're seeing the drop off is the people that are checked out. They're discouraged. Maybe they have a job on the side. They're like, it's a lot of technology. I don't want to learn how to use it. I'm overwhelmed by it. I'm stressed out. They don't do as well. And it kind of puzzled me. I thought, okay, well, overall loan volume is down. We should just see everyone decline, but it's not. We're seeing this divergence between a population of people who are, yeah, we are fully in. We're going to try everything. We're going to throw every tool we can at this problem, are doing really, really well. And then the other half of the population, they're really struggling. And I'm trying to help. I'm trying to raise all the boats, that at a certain point, if you don't want to log in, you don't want to attend training, you don't want to pay attention, you don't want to get uncomfortable, it's going to be really hard in this market. Loans are not just falling in your lap. You're going to have to work for it.
Yeah. And one more like marker I want to put out there is that, hey, they're getting better. We're in spring. And there's no doubt I am seeing the haves and the have-nots. I am interviewing a lot of just super successful people that are just killing it and gaining market share. But we're going to have better times ahead, and then we're going to have worse times ahead. And if we're going to have sustainable profitability, I just believe there needs to be a new really like a paradigm shift. And so did you listen to your interview I did with Jim Deitch on Moneyball Mortgage? Did you by any chance?
I don't
Well,
think I
let me
have
describe a
actually.
concept from it,
Yes.
and you tell me if you heard it. He you know, in the industry, we typically benchmark loan officers based off of who's closing the most loans, who's got the highest volume. And he said, hey, that's great, but let's have three tiers. One, which is profitable per loan. And he had a tier of loan officers in this anonymized case study of an IMB that was like, I don't know, $2,200 in profits per month. And that was tier one. The middle tier in this particular anonymized case study was losing. I think they were losing a couple $100 a month. And he's like, when I run this with companies, sometimes they're making a couple hundred, sometimes they're losing a couple. And then you had tier three, and they were losing a lot of money per loan.
Mm.
And when I asked him what's the difference between the tier one and the tier three, he's like, concessions and conversion, you know, the two seats. And now in the study, we didn't like which one of those people are using their tech and which one of them's not. But I know from enough interviews that I've done, that's what we're going to find. Like the loan officers that are profitable and have high conversion, low concessions, they're delivering a best practice experience to the consumer. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can speak, and I was just pulling up the statistics if I can grab them really quick. So conversions is something we've been really, really watching, especially at the first of the year when the credit report charges skyrocketed. All of a sudden, just throwing junk against the wall was no longer an option. Now you are costing the company real money by not converting. And just looking at, I'm trying to pull this up right now. So people who are using the technology and investing in themselves, they are seeing a higher pull through. We are seeing from app to funding, I'm just reading this right now, typically maybe around 30% for people who are kind of that checked out group. And the people who are really invested, it's over 56%. So if you knew you had an over 50% chance to fund a loan just by following this system and using this technology, that adds up. I mean, I'm in Southern California. The dollar loans, the loan amounts are huge. That's a really, really big difference. And I've even heard from some of our branches, hey, we don't have a problem getting leads. If we could just convert more, we would make so much more money. And I'm like, all right, let's focus on conversion. So it absolutely makes a difference. And what a waste of time just to take a bunch of apps and a bunch of leads and not convert them from simple stuff, picking up the phone when people call, following through, working on an analysis. I mean, these things are proven to increase conversion.
Yeah, I know last year we did a case study because you had looked at the loan officers that were using MortgageCoach versus those who didn't. And I do believe we were one of the highest performing technologies. Have you done any updates on that? Any updated data on a MortgageCoach loan
Yeah,
officer
so
versus
the
non?
first one, now that you are, I don't know, sister companies or best friends or whatever
Well,
you are.
Trust Engine is the company, and MortgageCoach is one of our products.
Yeah, so Sales Boomerang has always been the number one highest ROI tool forever and ever. There's nobody that can hold a candle. It's just it's a must have, and I've said that for years, even before joining PRMG. They're absolutely critical. I'm just looking at our Q1 data for MortgageCoach. We see definitely in our top tier systems, people who use MortgageCoach are funding 323% more than those who are not. So that's a pretty big jump. And we're also seeing that pull through for MortgageCoach jumps up to 44% versus those who are not using MortgageCoach. You get more pull through, more app volume, and more funded volume. And also something that I don't know if other companies measure is retention. It is, a lot of organizations are focused on recruiting and they want to bring in the right cultural fit. Of course, we want production, but we want people that will really love where they're at, wake up every morning feeling passionate about the brand. People who tend to use MortgageCoach, and 98% of them are excited about working at PRMG and want to keep the party going. And that means a lot because costs so much money to onboard a new sales professional. I mean, everything from the laptop to the setting up the IT resources, to the HR resources, that all has an expense associated with them. So we watch that as well.
Love that. Yeah. So you guys have also are rolling out our borrower intelligence platform. What was your reasoning for going all the way and picking the Trust Engine borrower intelligence platform?
The first time I heard about it, which was at the TMC conference, shout out, love that organization. I was just amazed. I was like, this is what I've been looking for, is to have a wider variety of data sources that have been proven, not just by me, not just, when I'm reading in the tea leaves, but by other organizations and Trust Engine that are there's a lot of predictive analytics, which I appreciate. That's very different from AI, but they're able to see trending of behavior. So it's not just, hey, someone ran your credit, you should do something about it. This is looking at so many different indicators and creating models based on number of dependents, on geography, on loan value, on military service. I mean, things we've never had before. And that's really, really exciting. I've never seen, still haven't seen another product that is as holistic. And I believe the more data points that we can put into that model, the more precise it will be. And the more precise the opportunities are, then we can come in with the marketing. And this marketing can be very custom, very intelligent. Instead of, hey, it would be great if you did a mortgage with me, which, okay, that's better than nothing, but doesn't convert. Of, hey, it looks like you're looking to downsize because your kids just left for college. And we know that you're in a 5,000 square foot home and you're tired of mowing that lawn every weekend. We have an opportunity for you. The marketing just hits different. It converts a lot higher. So I'm really, really excited about that. And then also the type of marketing that we're going to pair with it. I think we're going to see a huge lift from it.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I want to go really high level on this, because in this LinkedIn article, and I'll put a link down below, the title is Going Beyond Loan Manufacturing. And the thesis on this is that when you look at a mortgage company's spend on tech, the majority of it is in the loan manufacturing process. So from the time that a credit report's run, which is more expensive than ever. I was meeting with a executive. He came to our offsite and he said it used to be, people, paying commission's always been the number one line item. Number two is brick and mortar. And then, a bunch of other stuff. He said, now credit reports are like one of the top two. Well, he said, in my case, in my P&L, it's the number two line item. And so loan manufacturing has gone up, and yet it's not driving loan officer productivity. But yet, when you really look at what does drive loan officer productivity, because you're not the only lender who's looked at a loan officer that delivers MortgageCoach, where that they're quoting rates, they're quoting fees. That is a moment of truth. That is a very important touch point. And when they're doing it with MortgageCoach or Trust Engine, they're closing more loans, and we're seeing a lot of them are like 20 basis points more in gross margin. I'm trying to make a case that if lenders started expanding the loan manufacturing process to that first touch point of I'm delivering rates and fees, if they really started putting more leadership emphasis on being predictive with data, that lenders would be profitable immediately. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we agree with you. I know that was something that at our internal sort of leadership conference where you presented, even our C-suite team was like, can I get an amen? We firmly believe that if not just the loan officers, but the branch managers and other sales management, if they step in and say, hey, this is where you need to start, instead of, I don't know, you're leading with your rate sheet, and then you will get shopped around. It's the age of the internet. People are already looking you up. They're Googling you. You have to change the conversation. And the branches that are doing it are more profitable. We firmly believe that. We're a little bit more entrepreneurial. We don't do mandatory. We don't do, you got to do this. We're like, it sure would be a nice idea, but we absolutely agree with that methodology.
Yeah, and I've been doing every Monday for about, I think I'm going on my third month. I have before noon, Monday morning, I'm doing, hey, producing managers. And I'm giving some leadership on LinkedIn. There's a little video, like this is what you do this week. And so for any producing manager, watch this, guys. It's the hardest job in mortgage because you're doing production and you have leadership responsibility for folks that are either in your branch or your region. But it's the most important job. And so just a big push to all you folks out there, like if you can go beyond loan manufacturing and require excellence from the time you start quoting rates and fees and require excellence for how you're taking action on that data. So, by the way, our data opportunities, how do you see the quality of the data quality, of our opportunities that we're creating for your loan officers?
Oh, they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. And there's a lot of other companies in this space that have been doing this for a long time. There's some newer entrants. And I think everyone realizes it's not easy to get this data and synthesize it and also get it into the hands of the originator in real time. So the quality is very, very strong. I mean, we're basing huge and sophisticated marketing off of it. So if it was just shooting blindly in the dark, I would feel really uncomfortable about emailing and texting and reaching out with the clients. But we have a high level of confidence in the data.
Yeah, well, I love it that you've tested it, and I love it that you push us because it makes us the best in the business. And I think it's important to C-suite leaders that if you're not giving your loan officers the absolute best data, they're less likely to follow up on it, and they're less likely to take action on it. Because at the end of the day, the hardest thing to do is to get your loan officers to use your tech and to get your loan officers to take action on your data. You know what I'm going to do, just because this is put on by Trust Engine, I'm going to show our app real quick. Now, you've already seen it and you're getting
I
ready to
have.
roll it out, but I want, first of all, anyone that's watching this to see the app. And then I want you to say, what do you like best about this app as I walk through it? So first of all, anyone watching this, these are not just refi signals. These are purchase signals, first-time home buyers, move-up buyers. And so when we see that there's a signal in a database, you click on that. And Robin, when I scroll through this, we put a lot of intention to make it easy on the loan officer to take action. They can email, they can text, they call. But what do you like best about the app? Like, what was it that when I demoed it for you that you really caught your eye, that you think was going to move the needle the most?
I mean, the fact that it's an app, period, is a good thing. I actually just did a video on LinkedIn about this epiphany that I had with the amount of loan officers that operate only on a mobile device. I have this fantasy because I'm on a desktop computer. I got my 6,000 monitors. I'm like, that's not how they do business. They're on their phone. They are looking the stuff up. It's easy to read. It's not iframed inside of an iframe with a pop-up and all the other lunacy you see with mobile experience. So that's really strong. And the fact that it's in plain language, they can read this. They know exactly what this is. You've bolded kind of what the call to action is. You have scripts, which we get asked for all the time. Oh, that's cool, but I don't know what this is. So that's really nice to help them out, and they can just copy it. I mean, put it right in their cell phone. It's you can tell that this was designed for an actual loan officer. That the way that they work now, corporate and compliance departments might be like, oh, clutching my pearls, but from my perspective, I love this kind of stuff. This is actually what loan officers need.
Yeah, and again, when we took on building what we call a borrower intelligence platform, we really saw two problems. One, lenders are losing more loans than they're closing because they're not being predictive. But the biggest problem is that lenders are spending millions of dollars per year on technology that loan officers aren't using. So how do we create an ecosystem? And And so you align that a lot of it is, I don't know what to say or how to say it, or it's not easy to take action. And then to your point, the fact that it's mobile. It's a mobile app that they log in one time and they're ready to roll.
Yeah.
So if you are watching this and you had a favorite thing, let us know in social. Uh, so Robin, you're talking to your peers. There's going to be a lot of heads of marketing. There'll be head of production. There'll be branch managers. There'll be loan officers. What are some things that you want to communicate to your peers, that you just think is important as we go through this mortgage evolution? What are some of your advice for folks?
I would definitely say you need to start looking at the data. And that requires a little bit of humility. You may not see the results that you want to, and there might be a pet project or something you've poured a whole lot of time and resources in, and it's not performing as well. But you can't innovate and move forward unless you have that data. And there's no limit. In my mind, there's no such thing as too many data points. There may be something you're like, I don't really need this, but then a month from now, you think of a new way to sort of attack it. And also ask your technology partners to help you with that data. A lot of them have reports or special things they can run that you might not have access to in the UI, that they can help you with, but you need to get reporting. And then you need to also start talking to other departments. If you have not talked to your accounting department, your finance department, your HR department, whoever your LOS is, this is a cross, I'm blanking on the word, but it's a multi-department discipline. This is not, I'm just in marketing, the cheese stands alone, I'm going to solve it myself. You're going to need a lot of folks in your corner, and they will be confused. They won't get, why is marketing talking to me? But this is a team sport, and everybody needs to be involved. And you'd be surprised. I mean, some of the most amazing things I've done have been through talking to our finance department. I mean, these are people that stare at numbers all day. They might have a different way to look at things that you haven't occurred to. They can be a really powerful ally when you are doing this data. So yeah, get comfortable with data and get comfortable talking to everybody else in your company.
So I'm going to show a report because I am super passionate that lenders get super serious about conversion. And this is actually one of the reports that's part of our borrower intelligence platform. And, the names are anonymized, but the green line are data opportunities. So like opportunities in database that we can measure. The red line is RESPA apps, so definitely money is being invested on part of the company for all these disclosures are being sent, credit reports are being run. And then the orange line is closed loans. And so I would just really push the industry hey, let's keep celebrating who closes the most loans. Let's keep celebrating who has the most volume. But if we celebrate who's got the best conversion and who's turning their data into apps and those apps into loans. And a lot of that has to do with what happens in front, of loan manufacturing. It's what are they saying? It's what kind of experience they deliver to the consumer. Are they calling, texting, emailing that consumer? Uh, but we could be profitable in good markets and bad markets. Do you believe that if we can, well, I know that, but what are your thoughts on that? Any ideas you have for folks?
So one thing I noticed when I was looking at that chart is you also need to prep the waters. If you are just expecting an opportunity to show up and then the marketing machine, or maybe you're manually doing it, you're calling, texting, emailing yourself, either way, you're going to have more success if you have an infrastructure before then. If you've got a CRM where you're drip emailing, if you're doing an hour of power where you're rotating through your entire database and calling, if the only time that your client hears from you is when there's an opportunity alert, you're not going to see conversions as high. And this is where you have to be more active and less passive. So already have a system in place. So it's like, oh, I just checked in with you. And to be honest, when I look at the mortgage inquiry alerts or the alerts that get triggered when credit is ran, in some ways, and this may take a few people off, but I think that's a failure of the loan officer. That should never have happened. That's a backstop because this person didn't call you first. They were thinking of a mortgage, but for whatever reason, they forgot your phone number or they didn't have a great experience. I think if you're more proactive and getting in front of it, you can avoid that happening in the first place. And when they come back to you, they're like, oh yeah, he sends me a birthday card every year. Whatever, right? He's sending me a newsletter. He hosts family picnic events in our community center, every summer. I mean, all those little things where you're staying top of mind to your customer, that will help you. I mean, this is going to save your bacon if you don't do all that. But if you really want to see the numbers he was putting on that stage, you've already built a great relationship with them.
Yeah, we talk a lot about what we call speed to need, getting to the consumer and getting to the consumer so fast, you're getting to them before they even know they have a need. Like I use data to identify opportunities. Let's call, text, email that consumer. We call a lot of our opportunities reasons to call, like good data reasons to call. And our belief is that the inquiry alert is to your point, it's absolutely a failure. And it's also a red ocean. I mean, you're calling, and you are not the only person calling that consumer. So the other thing that I think every loan officer should pay attention to is not only are you losing that loan, but you're losing all the referrals of that loan. So to me, that is the biggest line item on a P&L. It's not credit reports. I don't even think it's salary. It's lack of adoption of your technology. It's either the unutilization of your technology or the poor utilization of your technology is the single biggest line item in the mortgage industry. Any thoughts on that?
I completely agree. That's what I'm seeing all the time is the people that are not logging in or the thing that I find funny is, and it does not happen very often, but sometimes we'll get someone who says, I don't need this. I got my database under control. I've figured it all out. And the truth is, you don't. And the data shows that you don't. If you think you're going to remember to call someone on their birthday, or you're going to reach out every time, maybe there's a new DPA that dropped in your area, you're not. Life happens, you get busy, you got loan files on fire, you need automation to pick up the slack. And the people who get that, they do both, right? Personalized, individual hand-holding touches plus automation. They're really successful. But I just laugh every time I get someone who's like, I don't need any of this technology. I've been doing this for years. I got my own thing going on. And I'm like, all right, let's look at the data. It's like you don't got your own thing going on. So you have to have the technology if you want to succeed.
So here's my closing thought, and I'm going to give it to you for closing thought. But any executive listening to this, I push you to tier your loan officers based off of one net gross margin, and because who's the premium player that has the least concessions that's doing business. So tier them based off of conversion. But one of the things we do in the sales process here at Trust Engine is we actually do lost loan reports and let lenders see like, hey, look how many loans you're losing. And it's always shocking. Like no one's ever guessing that they're losing, it's always double, triple the amount of loans that they think they're losing. Look at your lost loans and then start masterminding on that. Who are the loan officers that have the highest retention rates? Who are the loan officers with the highest gross margins? Who are the loan officers that have the highest conversion? And then just start. That's one of the reasons why I interview loan officers multiple times a week, is because we have to tell that story from different perspectives. And I believe that the industry would be profitable right now. For 7 straight quarters, companies would be profitable if they just went beyond loan manufacturing. So what are your closing thoughts as we wrap up our conversation today?
It's funny, us talking about this. One thing I'll say is it's important to have an abundance mindset. I remember meeting with a top producer, loan officer at another organization, and I just asked him plain, like, how do you do it? How are you so successful? And he went point by point exactly what he did. I send out 3 handwritten cards a day. I send a box of cupcakes to my real estate agents from this company. I mean, it was incredibly detailed. And I asked him, would you mind sharing this with the rest of the sales team? We had an upcoming meeting. And he said, yeah, of course. And I very naively, I said, well, aren't you worried that they're going to steal your idea and then, you know, absorb all your market share? And he's like, I'm not worried at all because I know how hard I work and I could give away the entire recipe, but I'm the only person in that room. Maybe there's one other person who says, okay, got it, I'm going to do that. But it's all about execution. And I hope those of you listening, when you watch some of the interviews that I know you've done, Dave, or some of these top producers, I mean, just focus on one thing that you can do and help others, you know, collaborate, have an abundance mindset. You know, I hope that I help somebody else today. There are more than enough loans in the United States for all of us. And I hope we're all super, super successful, and we help a whole bunch of people get into homes.
You know, before we wrap it, it would be remiss not to cover this because NAR is implementing their changes in August, and it's May. You know, it's middle of May, and I do have this thesis that as that unfolds, that the loan officers that are delivering advice with Mortgage Coach, the loan officers that are leveraging their borrower intelligence platform, they're gonna win with realtors. They're gonna help realtors. Any thoughts you have on how everything we're talking about becomes amplified post August? What is it? August 17th is the current date. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of buyers that feel that maybe they don't know who to trust. They need more education and they need more information. And it can't just come from the agent. They're also going to look at their trusted financial resource. They're going to go to their loan officer and ask, hey, how does this work? They're going to have more questions. They're going to be reading more stuff online. Your buyer's agents are going to need some backup. So you need to be a little bit more educational, you know, providing a lot of information up front because they're going to want to know that somebody has their back, that they're looking out for them. And another thing I know you mentioned on the call we had last week is generational wealth. You know, changing the conversation from, hey, it's just this one transaction to what is this going to do for your family? How are you establishing a legacy and investing? And I think buyers really need that right now. And it's not fair to just leave it in the buyer's agent court. Good luck with that. You figure it out. We need to be their partner and really help them with education.
Yeah, and that is also a big reminder. I'm creating a lot of content on this. I'll put a link down below. I have a playlist called Getting Ahead of Dinar Settlement. And I do believe that the real estate professionals that work with a loan officer that can not just do a pre-approval, but could show like, hey, how are you building net worth with real estate over 3 years and 5 years? That'll become a standard part of the process and something that we're training loan officers on every day. And so don't just be a loan officer that sells loans, be a loan officer that gives advice how a family can optimize financial freedom. They can optimize wealth with real estate. So I do think that will be another differentiator going forward. Well, Robin, you've been awesome. Super appreciate you. Looking forward to hearing the next case study. So like as you get more results and we get the borrower intelligence platform fully deployed over there, let's do another ROI performance-based conversation. Sound good?
Data is my love language.
All right. Well, we have that in common. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you got value. Give this a like. If you don't already follow our YouTube channel, subscribe to it today. If you want to know more about Trust Engine, our borrower intelligence platform, which is our flagship product, Mortgage Coach is built into that. That is still a product that we sell. Check it out. For all you loan officers, the borrower intelligence platform is an enterprise platform, so we need at least 150,000 records to run that. Sales Boomerang, you know, we can make that work with about 30,000 records. But for all you loan officers, you can get Mortgage Coach. Just go to the website, sign up. But hopefully, you know, go to the upper right-hand corner and request a demo. Anyways, take care, everybody. Thank you very much, Robin.
You got it.
All right.